slab of poplar here. It's a nice looking piece of wood, nothing spectacular, but I like poplar. It's a nice wood to work with. And so today I'm going to try something different. I always look for something unique, and it's very hard to come up with something unique. I'm sure this won't be either, but to me it will be. I'm going to try turning a pentagon. Instead of just another round bowl or a vase or whatever, I've decided to mark out a pentagon, which I've done. You may be able to make it out here. And this piece of wood is 2 inches thick. It's, I think, 14.5 inches wide, if I remember correctly. It's got some natural edge on this side, but I believe if I turn this as the top, I should be able to turn some of this away when I put some shape to it, hopefully. So now I'll show you how I marked out this pentagon. Then I'm going to take it to the bandsaw, cut this out, and I'll be meeting you over at the lathe if you'll stick around. I will start by drawing a straight line all the way across. The full width of this is 14 3/4. So I want to come over to the center. 7 3/8 plus the 3 gives me 10 3/8. So there's the center of the board along that line. Now, I want to go with an 8.5 inch side on this pentagon, each side. So I want to come over 4 1/4 inches from there, 10 1/4 back to 6. And 4 1/4 this way. That should be the end of my lines. Now taking my protractor, 5 sides into 360 degrees is 72 degrees. I'll make a mark there. Now see if I can get 8.5 inches across here, which would be 12.5 to 4. Looks like it's just going to do it. So I'll draw this line. Now I need to go 72 degrees from that point. Which is right there. And I want to come 8.5 inches. So from the 14.5, that'll bring me to 6. Now again, 72 degrees. Over 8.5. And I should end up with 8.5 inches to here. And it's not perfect, but it's going to be close enough. So there's my pentagon. Before I take it to the bandsaw, I had better find the center while it's still here and easily done for my faceplate. So the center of this line, and I can draw across to that point. Center of that line's already marked up to this point. That should be the center, but I'll just draw the other lines to confirm. And it looks like this should be right. And there's my center, put my faceplate on. Now, I'll be back after I get this cut out on the bandsaw. I have this mounted on a 6-inch faceplate. And the first thing I'm going to do is use a 2 1/8 inch Forstner bit to make a recess so I can put my chuck into here in expansion mode. I've got this turned down to 250 RPM. I really don't like to heat the bits up. It takes the temper out of them and dulls them in a hurry. I've got a pencil mark here at 1/4 inch from the face, and that's what I'm going to drill to now. All right, that should be great. So now I'm going to start turning this, probably using some pull cuts to bring it away from the center. Define what's going to be the foot. I ordinarily like to turn something where I'm going to have this much air time at about 2000 RPM. But to be honest, this thing makes so much noise at 2000 RPM, it's just downright scary. So I'm going to try it at 1000 RPM and see if that's fast enough to avoid making jagged cuts. I'm going to start with a 1/2 inch bowl gouge. I'm sure I've said this before, but I believe it bears repeating. When you've got some air time in here, you really want to make sure your hand stays on this side of the tool rest. Getting it out there could really do you some damage. I'm going to switch to my 3/8 inch bowl gouge now and see if I can get a finer cut with it. Yes, it is a cleaner cut. So I'll continue with this one for a while. Right now I'm just trying to hog off a bunch of wood, not trying for real clean cuts. Eventually I'm going to have to slow down and do very fine cuts to clean this up. It's not too bad at all, actually. What I'm attempting to do is start almost in a shear scraping fashion with the flute closed, and then as it starts to scrape a little bit, I just open it up and go into a cutting action. I'm going to need to clean this up a little bit. I'll just come back in from this side. So I'll leave a little groove in there, just some kind of a decoration. Alright, I think I'm going to sand this now. Put a couple of decorative rings in here first, maybe. Let's try that. I think I want this to sweep around just a little further yet. This is still a good 3/4 of an inch thick. Come down a little more. Alright, I think that's narrow enough. I'll just try to do a little bit of very fine cutting on here. Clean this up a little bit. Well, I don't think I'm going to get it any better than that. I'm just going to sand this now. When I'm doing this cut, it doesn't do me much good to watch the tip of my tool because they're just a ghost image and I can't see this anyway. What I have to do is look up top here, and you can see where the cut is being made much better than you will down here. That's doing a much better job of coming in with that spindle gouge. Still a little chip there. Let's try to get rid of that. You can hear that it's getting a little thin, and yet it's not that thin here. But it sure sounds like there's a little vibration. I have to go with very gentle cuts. I'm just going to sharpen my gouge. Alright, that's cleaned that edge up very nicely. This little tiny bit here, probably better off with just sanding, but I'm not that smart. I'm going to try that with the spindle gouge. Just get that little bit of a ridge out of there. There's a little too much vibration for the spindle gouge. That should sand out of there very easily. Now I'll start working on the bowl. And I do want to bring this down a little bit. Still a ways to go to get to the end of those screw holes. Alright, they are gone, and I should be able to just sand all of this now. That's looking pretty good. I'm quite pleased with that. So I'm going to sand this, and then I'll be back. Well, there's the finished product. I'm quite pleased. I don't know if it's going to show up, but there's some chatoyance right across here. It's just gorgeous. Just shimmers when you get the light reflecting across it. I really enjoyed turning this. It's a challenge rather than having something round that you don't have to worry about catching anything. Coming in on these ends was a little bit tricky, but with a little practice, it gets easier and easier, and you can do a better and better job. So I hope you'll give something like this a try. Now, if you enjoyed this, click the like button. Let me know that I'm doing something right. Don't forget to subscribe, share it with your friends if you like, and I hope you'll come back next time. Between now and my next little visit, I hope you'll have a great day in your shop, and be safe. Take care of yourself now. Bye-bye.